Beautiful people, welcome back. Today we are in Cheshire, northwest of England, no more than 30 kilometers or 18 miles from the Welsh border. The plan for today is to visit yet another Motte and Bailey castle, a medieval castle that is special in its way thanks to its positioning. It sits on a high, rocky sandstone crag of up to 110 meters or 360 feet. It's a bit unfinished. You'll see when we get there what I mean. But the views are spectacular. Some say you can even see the Welsh mountains from the top. I'm looking forward to this. I know you're looking forward to this. That's why our journey starts now. In case you wonder, we're in the middle of nowhere. Beeston town is roughly 2.7 kilometers or 1.6 miles away from here. 52,000 people, so not a big place by any means. In fact, the whole area around us consists of pretty much empty land. The biggest town that's closest to where we are now is Chester, which is around 17 kilometers or 11 miles away from here. That's where I traveled from this morning. Which makes this place really quiet, secluded, hidden. But it wasn't always like that. You see, the fortress we are going to visit today, the fortress we are going to explore today, which is called Beeston Castle, is built on a hill, or if you want, on a high, rocky sandstone crag. And there have been found evidences that this place was inhabited or used as a communal gathering place during the Neolithic period. So early nomadic hunter-gatherers and later on early farmers were gathering on this site. Man, this place is so beautiful. Everywhere I look, I see greenery. Trees, a bit of forest there, lots of lands that are filled with greenery, lots of plants. We are literally in the middle of nowhere. Since the first time I saw this castle, I knew that I had to come here. In a way or another, we are not that far from Liverpool. We are in that area in the east, northeast of England, and it's absolutely beautiful. I don't even see the castle yet. That's how well hidden it is. But yeah, we'll find it eventually. I'm sure of that. Ladies and gentlemen, Beeston Castle. We arrived. Let me buy a ticket and I'll see you in a bit.
Is that 23rd? Is it the 23rd? No.
I guess it's the wrong way to the top. Apparently, it's a very big area overall. So the hill where the castle sits, let me see the view from here. Oh wow, this is better. So the park or the land where this castle sits is called Woodland. I guess you can already tell why. This is like a tower. Used to be a tower here, but now it's completely damaged. As you can see, there are missing pieces here, bricks, and even the shape was affected. I'll tell you more about this in a bit. This is the Roundhouse that I wanted to tell you about. There have been some excavations in the 70s and 80s. And obviously it's called Beeston Roundhouse. Let's go inside and I'll tell you more about it.
Real fire. We do light it on a regular basis. We're actually part of our process. Possibly this was a workshop, maybe possibly a metal working shop, or even a meeting house, because it was significantly bigger than the typical Bronze Age roundhouse that we see, late Bronze Age roundhouses. Oak posts to support the roof, okay, and oak posts all the way around the outside, okay. Everything's sourced from this crag, from Beeston Crag. So these were trees that have grown on our crag. The roof supports are ash, they're made out of ash, and the thatch that you can see above us is actually river reed. The river reed, everything has been sourced from our crag apart from the river reed thatch. The thatch, it's been in place for about 6 or 7 years. 2019 was originally, this house was originally built. And we've not had one drop of water come in, okay? We do need to start replacing some of that thatch. It's starting to rot a little bit in some places, so we do need to make sure that we're going to start a process of replacing that thatch. But in terms of its weatherproofness, it's really, really good. The walls are actually made of what we call wattle and daub. So wattle is basically willow or hazel branches that when they're cut, they're still green. They're very, very flexible. And we make it into kind of a basket weave for the walls. We then use a daub, which is like the plaster that you can see on top. The daub's made of clay, mud, animal hair, straw, leaf mould as well. Unfortunately, we're not allowed to actually use what they would have probably used in the Bronze Age or prehistoric period, which is animal dung. Okay, that gives it the elasticity to be able to expand and contract when it's hot and cold. As a result of not being able to use that, we don't unfortunately have the luxury of it not cracking. Okay, so when you look on the outside of our walls, you will see some cracking. We have to light the fire to make sure that this place is fumigated on a regular basis and to preserve the materials that we've got in here. So that's why you can smell the fire, because it's lit on a regular basis. If you look up at the top, this is on purpose. We have not put a hole in the roof at the top on purpose. When we light the fire, you obviously get sparks and you get hot ash. We don't let the fire go any higher than this bottom rail. If we put a hole in the roof up there, the fire will suddenly become up here, because you've got this natural draw like a chimney. You get this draw of air that will take up the sparks and the hot ash into what is a very, very flammable roof space. And when they started constructing these in the 1950s and 1960s as part of these reconstruction projects, what they found was 9 out of 10 of these would burn down with a hole in the roof. What does happen to the smoke is it actually goes up, it heads up into this huge big roof space that we've got, so it's above us, okay, particularly me because I'm really short, but it actually goes quite high up, so we're not particularly badly exposed to the smoke. It sits in a blanket and then it slowly dissipates out of the thatch. So if you sat over there, it looks like steam coming off the roof on a wet morning. It kind of just dissipates out very, very slowly. And it has the effect of drying out the thatch, so it preserves it longer, and it also helps to prevent insects, birds and rodents. They actually found a small village of 5 of these that were built on a water course, a shallow water course. And what they actually found was, they found that as they go down through the clay where they found them, they actually find all of these roof supports all lying, basically falling in on themselves, all charred but very, very well preserved. And what it gave us the indication of is this village had burned down. All 5 houses had actually burned down. 5 of these roundhouses had a big blaze, all burned down. And as they've collapsed through the fire, the timbers have basically collapsed down into the watercourse and it's extinguished the fire. They've then sunk into the silt, which is oxygen starved, and it's preserved all of the timbers from rotting. So as the archaeologists have gone down and started to peel these layers off from the roof down, they've got down to the habitation layer, and they've actually started to work out how people lived. So over here, food preparation, over there, metalworking, over there was their tool. It's a standard sort of tool kit that each of the houses had. So weapons, tools for farming implements and things like that. Where the animals were, where these people slept. There's even a bowl, a preserved bowl with porridge, the remains of a wheat-based porridge with honey and venison. And it's half eaten with a spoon still in it. So it's as if someone's been eating their breakfast and suddenly gone, fire, and they got out and left it there. This is LiDAR.
LiDAR.
This is LiDAR, light detection and ranging. So a signal from space fires light, laser light comes down onto the earth. This is our crag. This is Beeston.
I recognize it.
Yeah, so our car park is over here.
Okay.
And you've walked up here.
The entrance. Yeah, I came from here.
This is where you've walked up.
Yeah.
You've come through there, and then you've walked up to our quarry, which is in here.
So we are here now.
So this is where we are.
Okay.
The castle at the top, the inner ward at the top is up here. So what the light does is it bounces off the earth, bounces and penetrates the ground, and it gives us a 3D image, because it's bouncing something. The light is bouncing off things in the ground, coming back to give us this 3D image. So, for example, in Egypt, they're looking at the desert and they're looking at sand dunes. They're firing laser light down. It hits something and it bounces back up. They go to that place. What they lighting up is a full city underneath the sand dunes without doing any digging. But when they go and dig, they actually find a city underneath that sand dunes because they found this on LiDAR.
So the same technology But can I ask you this? What does it represent? This one being darker than this area?
It's just depth.
Depth. Okay, so
Yeah.
nothing.
So
Right,
so
it's-
it's what this darker represents is this is where our this is really steep. Okay, so this
It goes,
is
right?
flat. This
Yes,
is flat
yes,
fields.
yes, yeah.
All flat fields.
Yeah,
This is a gradient.
it starts to be really
a steeper.
hilly.
The steepest parts of what you've got is all around here and all around here.
Okay.
This is our steepest part of the
This
castle.
is why it's darker,
This is why it's darker. Yeah.
because it's deeper.
Yeah, and then if you go, when you're going to walk up from here,
Mm-hmm.
you're going to walk up this way, and you're going to walk this way, and then you're going to come out here. And this area here is where the settlement, the Bronze Age roundhouses were found.
Okay, in this area.
In this
but you
area.
said, you explained to me why in the quarry this was built.
Yeah, here.
In order for next generation, let's say technology,
Yeah,
to be able to maybe look into this area with better results.
yeah,
Maybe.
better technology, so they might be able to go deeper. They might be able to find things that archaeologists haven't been able to find. Bear in mind, the only technology that they had was digging. This here is medieval wall. Okay, so this wall heads straight down. If you come down this way, you can see this thick wall.
Yes.
This is tower number 1. So the only approach to get into this castle 800 years ago is through the gatehouse, which is just down below there.
That
The
one?
ruined gatehouse.
Okay.
Further down.
Oh,
Where
not
you've-
this one.
Not this one. No, that's a defensive tower.
Okay.
So it's the next set of doors you've got. You've got an entrance just further down.
Okay.
That's the only entrance into the castle. The only one into the castle. So what you've got is effectively. Let me show you a picture.
Picture.
An artist's impression of our castle originally. Okay, so
As if it would look like this.
This is what it would look
Okay.
like. Okay, so we're standing over here.
Okay.
You've come up down here. So your car park is down here.
Yes.
You've walked up. You've come through the entrance there, and then you've walked up the steps here
Right.
to the roundhouse here. You're then going to walk through the woods, and you're going to come out here. Okay, this is this flat area
That you're talking about.
that I'm talking about
Okay.
from the prehistoric period. Then you're going to walk up. So this is the outer ward of the castle. This is the inner ward
Got it.
of the castle. Very, very big. The reason why this is so big is it was built, these walls, this outer ward wall
Yes.
was built on top of prehistoric defences. If you look down how steep this is,
Yeah.
this was never originally that steep. So let me show you. So this is what this entrance, as you've come through, these are on the floor, on the ground now.
Oh yes.
This is what it would have
yes,
looked like.
Yes. I noticed the big towers from the front.
Yes, from the front. Okay. As you've come up, this is what the village would have looked like before the castle. A wooden palisade.
Wooden. Yeah.
So this is Bronze Age, late Bronze Age, early Iron Age.
Okay.
Okay, a tribe living up. These are the roundhouses that we've reconstructed here. Our roundhouse is up here.
With the quarry.
In the quarry.
which is now, but
Yeah.
this looks very similar. Like
Very
exactly.
similar. Yeah,
exactly
exactly
like
the
that.
same.
Okay.
This wooden palisade, okay, was underneath the wall. Okay,
Under this wall.
underneath this wall.
Okay.
So this is 800 years ago.
Yes.
This village existed 800
Prior.
BC, prior to the castle being built.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's say 2,800 years.
Nearly, yeah, 2,800 years,
Okay.
exactly. Okay, now this wooden palisade, when the archaeologists have gone underneath the walls, they've actually found evidence of this wooden palisade having been burned down. You can actually find the original post holes for each of these posts underneath the walls.
But I thought here they only had houses, and I read that they were using this place as a gathering. But I didn't know they were using it as a defense, because the wall indicate that it was for defensive purpose.
Correct. So this palisade, this wooden wall, you've got to think about the transition in the time period from the Bronze Age, when people are starting to settle down, and you've got things like farming going on,
Yeah.
growing crops, keeping
Yeah.
animals, peaceful times, to the Iron Age. People become much more tribal. you start to get these different tribes who are enemies in some cases. Okay, so this tribe that lives across this whole sandstone ridge,
Right.
including here in the Iron Age, when this becomes a hill fort, this is what this is basically becomes a hill fort. As the Iron Age progresses, people become more aggressive. The
So
tribes,
they needed
so they needed this
to
protection.
build this defense.
Yeah, the late Bronze Age, they start to build this earthwork. As time goes on, they create a ditch. You can actually still see the ditch down below. We start at the bottom.
Okay, so at 2 o'clock there.
2 o'clock at the tree in front of the shop.
Okay, I might join, and at some point, because
off.
I've seen this area,
I only
I will head off
Yeah.
to the next one.
What I do is I start the tour. I go the other way. I'll basically take.
Oh, you
the
start
other
the other way.
I go all the way around the other side.
Yeah.
It's entirely up to you.
What's your name?
Dave.
Dave. Thank you so much. I guess I'll see you in a bit.
Yeah, no problem.
Have a good one, okay?
If I don't see you, have a good day.
You too. Thank you so much for everything that you're doing.
No problem.
It's really impressive
No, it's great
to
job.
share this knowledge with everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
10,000 BC up to 2000 BC, so roughly 4,000 years ago, if not a bit earlier, archaeologists have found indications that this place was inhabited. They have found some Neolithic flint arrowheads, which are basically stone tools that dates from that period, including some roundhouses. And we've just seen one of them that was built in 2019, and apparently they have discovered 8 or 9 roundhouses that dates that period. And according to what our friend told us, Dave, they have been found in the area that opens up. Maybe it's here. I'm still not able to get a grasp how big is this place or where exactly we are. All I know that was a quarry, an old quarry, and you've heard why the roundhouse was built there. They want to preserve the area for future generations to come up with better technologies. So this place was inhabited for millennia. Late Bronze Age, early Iron Age, Beeston became a place of metalwork where people were gathering and they were doing trade. We've also been explained how they were using different tools to build or to obtain different metals. Oh, look at that. I don't know what is that. I have no idea what animal is that. Like a bird. A very big bird. And I'm very happy that the replica of that roundhouse was built. We were told that it was built thanks to some volunteers in 2019, although the works of digging started in 1968, I believe, and they ended 17 years later, which should be somewhere around 1985. And the reason why they built the roundhouse in an old quarry was to preserve the area where these evidences have been found. So using this technology and by projecting light, they can understand, using this technique, they can understand what's underneath the soil without even digging. Besides that, they've also found Neolithic flint arrows, which are basically some stone tools. People were using these tools either for hunting or for maybe cooking or for digging. I've also heard that Neolithic people were using bones as ornaments or in order to carve different shapes, or they were using bones in order to hunt or to cut meat, for example, when they were cooking it, which is pretty fascinating to think that thousands of years, more than like almost 3,000 years ago, people understood the power of coming together. Hunter-gatherers were doing exactly that. This place was transformed into a defensive fortress, but of course it started, I would call it a settlement, although it's not in the traditional way, but still, Neolithic people from late Bronze Age or early Iron Age, almost 3,000 years ago, if not further, they understood that coming together and living together in these roundhouses makes their life better. That's how they were able maybe to teach each other different things or to hunt together in order to become more efficient when it comes about building a life that at that time was really different than nowadays. As I mentioned previously, we are in Cheshire, England, northwest of England, and the area around Beeston Castle, it's called Woodland Park. 40 acres, an area or a surface full of trees, vegetations, woodland trails and wild animals. This is why when I said we are in the middle of nowhere, is because except this hill here, the area is pretty much very untouched, if I can say so. I don't know how to call these birds. I don't think they fly. It's just they belong to this place. I guess this is their home. This is why I like these places so much, because beside the castle you can find things like that. From what I understood, Dave will start his tour at 2 o'clock in about 20 minutes. So I'm thinking to join him for a while and then continue on that side to show you the castle and everything else. Because most probably we can learn much more from an expert. You can learn much more from an expert than from me. So I think we are really lucky to have this chance now. This fortress was built around 800 years ago. I'll tell you more about it. But what's fascinating is that these walls right here were built on top, these stone walls, should I say, were built on top of a wooden foundation that was built more than 2,800 years ago. This whole area used to be full of towers that were in a very good shape. unbelievably tall. I think it's like 10 meters. That one must be 10 meters. I literally have no words. Look at that. You see the stones that were used here, layer after layer. And obviously on top of these walls, I see here a very big stone that was used next to some small ones in order to form the shape of this. Now look at the structure. You see a tower there and one here, which is very high, and this must be the entrance towards the castle.
Before we start up our walk up to the top of the castle, has anybody got any questions? Please feel free as we go, just ask me any questions. Very informal, okay? If I can add value for your entertainment, please just let me know, okay? We will take our time because it is very sleep and very, very hot.
You know, Dave, I wanted to ask you, there are some birds. I've seen some birds.
Ah,
Can you tell me what kind of birds they are?
well, so
If I can call them birds.
what do they look like?
They have a tail in shape of the V.
Yeah,
And they were small and red-headed
pheasants.
pheasants.
Yeah,
But are
very
these
tasty.
pheasants or a different
You'll
type
see,
of
you'll see. So on this
pheasants?
site, we have a lot of pheasants.
Okay.
We've got male and female, and they look very different. That
Pheasant.
noise,
Yes,
that's a pheasant.
that's a pheasant because I've seen two walking slowly
Yeah, you'll see them
away
all
from
the way
me,
around.
obviously.
So we've got pheasants. They're the ones that are making the noise.
Okay.
But more interestingly, we've actually got peregrine falcons, which are extremely rare.
Somewhere in
and-
the
and
trees.
very well protected.
Must
No,
be.
they don't nest in the trees. They nest in cliffs or high buildings.
Oh, really?
They are the fastest living thing on the planet.
Falcons.
Peregrine.
Peregrine falcons. Okay.
And when you see them, if you see them from the top today,
Right.
they do a climb, and then they spot some prey, and they do something called a stoop, which is a dive
Straight.
down. And when you see them, they actually look like a jet.
Like a bullet.
Really impressive.
Have you seen?
Yeah,
And-
lots of times.
Wow.
This is what most of Cheshire is built on. Anybody know what kind of stone this is called? Sandstone. Well done. Why is it called sandstone? It's made of sand. It's a sedimentary rock that's laid down many, many millions of years ago. This particular strata level that we're looking at, so I've just pulled some of it away. I think I'm responsible for most of this hole, actually. This is stone that is extremely crumbly. You can actually see it just crumble into sand, okay? It's sedimentary, which means it's laid down, it's being transported in shallow rivers and streams. This particular strata level is called Upper Bunter, and it was laid down 250 million years ago, so before the dinosaurs, in the early Triassic period. Okay, now the reason why I point this out, most of Cheshire is laid on sandstone. Okay, most of our old buildings, if anybody's been to Chester is just full of sandstone. Okay, and it's mostly this sort of pinky brown sandy colour, okay? But what you will see at our castle, particularly as we just get to the top of these steps, there is quite a significant amount of our castle that is actually built out of what looks like granite. It's very, very grey or silver, okay? But it is sandstone. If you look at that tower, it looks quite sort of pinky,
Yeah.
like the sandstone that we were talking about down below, upper bunter in the majority. When you look at some of the wall here, you've got a much greyer, there's particularly the tower that's there, it looks much greyer, and that's because it's just a different strata level. It's the strata level that sits on top of that sandy stuff.
I just wanted to show you a bit of castle tour presented by Dave. He's a volunteer, but according to me, he's an expert because basically he knows more than I can ever show you. We're going in depth, but first I see something which I wasn't aware of actually, which is this one. This looks like a quarry or a hill. Actually, this is a wall. I'm not really sure what's here. Maybe there have been found some evidences here of fire. This is why it's preserved this way. And also usually when they dig in order to find other things, the archaeologists leave flat pieces of land just like this one. And here you can clearly see how white is this one and how red is the one from the top. That's the sandstone, the one that Dave told us this place was built with. We can clearly see it here. I didn't even expect to see such a great example to show you actually. And this tree is barely holding. Now let's go back and talk about the castle. So initially it was a hill fort. For those of you who don't know, hill fort means a defensive settlement built on top of a hill, mainly for defensive purposes, obviously, because it had outer walls built specifically for that. And then in 1220s, the Normans started to build the stone castle on top of that. And these are the stairs to the castle. Not sure you can grasp how deep this is. And on the other side as well. But from here you can see more of woodland in the distance. In the medieval documents, the castle is called Castellum de Rupe, or Castle on the Rock. I guess you can clearly see why. And this entrance, huge one. This is one side of the tower. Wow. You can basically see everything from here. To be fair, I'm not even sure where Wells is, but we can see if that's not a hill. I don't think that's a mountain. Must be a hill. Another one in the distance there. There's another one right there. The views are insane. So Beeston Castle was built in 1220s by Ranulph de Blondeville, the 6th Earl of Chester. And he also built 2 more castles which are currently in ruins: Bolingbroke and Chartley. If you follow the channel for a while, I guess it comes as no surprise that he was Norman. And Ranulph de Blondeville, the one who built Beeston Castle, is known as the last major Norman figure. One of the most important at that time, especially because, as I mentioned to you, he owned a lot of land, both here and in nowadays France. Now, how did the castle look like in 1232 when Ranulph de Blondeville died? Well, as you can imagine, a couple years after it was built, it was a fortress. Very imposing structure built for defensive purposes. It sits, as I mentioned to you, on a hill or a high rocky sandstone crag of up to 110 meters, which, as you can see from here, it's very imposing in comparison with everything around it. It was basically a Motte and Bailey castle by the book. On the outer wall, it had 8 towers, 8 D-shaped towers. D-shaped towers means the towers were rounded on the exterior. It had lots of space to put your army or the soldiers if you come here before, let's say, going on a crusade. It has still 2 wells. One well that it's kind of an outered well of 73 meters deep, if I'm not mistaken, and the inner well is 112 meters, and it's very, very famous. So overall, a very imposing structure, but no permanent living quarters. No keep, no hall, no chapel. Some say those who stationed here were living in temporary wooden accommodation. As you can see how the top looks like, it's not even straight. So very, very improbable to have existed even some type of permanent accommodation, and it was destroyed because there haven't been found evidences of that. I want to take a look closer to this wall that's right here. This one is huge. seems like to me, you see there is a hill here. It looks as if the walls that surrounded the main fortress are lower than the initial site or the initial place or the main place, which is a bit odd if you ask me. But maybe these walls were even higher, way taller than that. Must be. Now look at this structure. This is very tall. Guys, this must be like 20 meters. I'm not even exaggerating. It's huge. I need to be careful where I step because there are no flat areas here. This must be another balcony. Again, you can clearly see everything up here. Lots of trees, greenery everywhere, and this fortress that was raising out of nowhere.
I'd be dead by the time you got here because I wouldn't be able to try walk.
And this one looks a bit like a fairy tale, if you ask me. With this, I can even see a tree up there on the main gate. You see it? I'm not sure if you can see it because it's very sunny in that direction. So as mentioned previously, Ranulf died in 1232 and the ownership of the castle was passed to his nephew, John Lescott. But then this one died in 1237, and because there was no heir, I think this is how you call it, the castle was seized by King Henry III, famous for his 56 year of reign over the throne of England. And then this one would give the castle to his son, Edward, who would later become King Edward I. So probably also because of this, the castle was passed to one king to another. This is why probably, or this is another reason why the castle was never really finished. But it was used whenever they wanted to go and attack Wales, from my understanding. Another thing that made me very curious, and I wanted to check before arriving here, is where the name came from. Where did the name Beeston come from? Now, Beeston is of Anglo-Saxon origin. The name is of Anglo-Saxon origin. I believe it is derived from the Old English bij or bige, which is commerce or market, and stone obviously means either rock or stone. So the castle was called Beeston Castle from the beginning, especially thanks to its positioning. But what I find interesting is that at some point, I believe in 1602, the castle was bought and owned by a guy called Sir Hugh Beeston, a politician and a very influential person at that time. So for a while, Beeston Castle was owned by Sir Hugh Beeston. But nowadays, I believe since 1984, the castle is owned by English heritage. Now let's talk about the castle during the English Civil War. And probably most of you watching this channel for a while, I believe that you are familiar with the English Civil War. So this war was between the royalists and the parliamentarians. Now what ignited this war? Well, three main things: disagreement or disagreements over religious practices, the divine right to rule without consent, and some other disagreements or conflicts when it comes about the finances of the land or of the kingdom. So the English Civil War took place between 1642 and 1651. Now let's go bit by bit and understand what happened with the castle during the English Civil War. In 1643, the parliamentarians owned the castle, but the royalists attacked and they captured the castle. Now between 1644 and 1645, the royalists survived a siege of, I think it was 12 or 13 or 14 months. So the parliamentarians want to regain control of the castle and they attack. However, they could not take the castle back during this time. Unfortunately, plenty of souls have been lost in this process. But eventually, at the end, in 1645, I believe it was November, they surrender. The royalists had no other choice than to surrender. So again, the parliamentarians owned the castle. In 1646, the parliamentarians choose to dismantle or destroy the castle to not be used as a fortress again. This fortress looks the way it looks as a consequence of what happened in 1646. But guess who ordered the destruction, or guess who ordered the dismantling of this castle? Well, none other than Oliver Cromwell, the famous Oliver Cromwell, who also led the parliamentarians to victory over the royalists in the English Civil War. As I told you, there is a well in this castle that's very famous. Actually, there are two, but one of them is very, very famous, of 112 meters. I believe this is 350 or 360 feet. This one, the legend says that King Richard II in 1399, before being deposed, he hid his fortune in this well, a huge fortune of 200,000 gold and silver coins and maybe other treasures as well. But the reason why it is a legend is because it was never found. Some publications, when doing this research, I noticed that some publications are saying that if this fortune would have been found, in today's money would value somewhere between 100 and 200 million pounds. But we might as well never find it. And the well, this is the famous well, where the legend says that King Richard II hid his fortune. It's the deepest English medieval well. 112 meters or around 360 feet or something like that. I don't think today we'll find any fortune. So this is like a map. I see here Beckford Castle, very close, with church, the Wrekin, Birmingham, Nightwich, Outer Ward. This is basically the castle, I believe. The whole area. Roundhouse, which we visited in the beginning of this video. We are here, right at the end. I see also a pond right here and a plane. This is a fabulous place. Although it's destroyed, clearly this fortress tells a story by itself. Wow, look at that! Pretty impressive, isn't it? What people do for fun nowadays. Although there is a danger in everything, even building a castle, defending a castle, going for a castle, meaning attacking a castle, there is a risk in everything you do in this life. But if you succeed, well, that makes up for a great story. Now that's a big ditch. Look at this one. Mott and Bailey Castle by the book. How can you even go for this castle considering this height? Somebody told me that Wales is there, or I think it's called the mountains from Wales. I think they are called Snowdonia or something like that. Must be either that one or those ones. I'm not entirely sure, so take it with a pinch of salt, but in this direction it's Wales. Now also look at the curvature of the entrance. This is outstanding. Like, without a doubt, if this would have been a castle with a hall and a keep and everything, this would have been one of the most amazing castles ever. Again, especially considering where it's positioned on top of this hill. One more thing I want to show you, how it feels to be close to the edge of this cliff. Just look at that. I don't like heights at all, but this is scary interesting, if I can say so. And also look at that side, that part that's going out a bit, almost poetic, and the countryside house behind it. Wow. Just fly. What are you waiting for? This is it. You're gonna be famous now. Come on. So not even the pigeon wants to fly from such heights. You can imagine. Ladies and gentlemen, can you believe it? Beeston Castle. What a beast of a castle. And although it is in ruins, it's still very imposing. They don't call it one of the most dramatic ruins in English landscape for nothing, isn't it? Today we couldn't find the treasure hidden by King Richard II, or better known as Richard the Lionheart. Maybe next time. But at least I hope this episode helped you understand better this place's past, considering it has a history of over 3,000 years. That was Beeston Castle and its surroundings. Thanks for watching until the end. And if you are still here and you enjoyed this video and you want to watch another similar episode in which we visited another marvelous castle on this channel, check this video right here. I'll see you there.